There we go. And good morning, Katie. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah.
This is Katie Rhodes with Toganola. She was the first ever annual grant recipient last year, and we're just checking in to see how things have been going over the last year.
Yeah, thanks for checking in. It's great to see you again. It's been a pretty crazy year. Obviously, once we got the grant, we were empowered and inspired to move forward with some of our bigger initiatives, finishing building out our kitchen. So we have a licensed kitchen in our home. We were able to finish building that out, install some dehydrators for our dehydrated backpacking meals, which was a huge expansion on the business that we were doing at the time that we received the grant. We also got the exciting news not long ago that we were admitted to the Troy Farmers Market for the summer, which for anyone who has tried to get into that market, it's very competitive for good reason. It's an amazing market. There's a huge number of patrons that regularly go. And the conversation that we had with the folks over there when they accepted us, which was exciting news, was, this is where businesses take it to the next level, essentially. This is where the growth happens. And, either you sink or swim, and we're prepared to swim. So here we are.
That's amazing. When does that open for you?
That's going to be in May.
May? Wonderful.
Yep, first weekend in May.
Does it go outdoor then?
Oh, yep, exactly. Down the waterfront in downtown Troy there. So it's an amazing venue right on the water, and there are just a huge number of vendors that are there. Everything from prepared food to candles to granola products like ours, baked products, things like that. So it's a wide range, and there's always some sort of entertainment, music, or something like that. So it's really more of an event than a farmer's market.
Yeah, I've been to it. It's really lovely. I think I also heard that the last granola company that was a part of that market has really, really launched.
Yeah, exactly. And so they were actually looking for a new granola vendor because, unfortunately for them, their last granola vendor, they did launch to the point where it just didn't make sense for them to distribute through markets anymore. They were just too large. So that seems to be the recurring theme. So they're always losing vendors because they just are helping them grow to the point where it just doesn't make sense for them to stay. So we're hoping that this is kind of a step up to the next level for us.
Fantastic. What are your thoughts for what that next level looks like?
It's hard to envision right now. I definitely want to make sure, first and foremost, that we are maintaining integrity above everything else. That's always been the most important thing to me. So my vision isn't necessarily, get Toganola into every store nationwide. That's not the most important thing. If we can get to the point where, this is a sustainable source of income for my husband and I, where we can be doing this, either full time or, if we choose to have something else going on in the background, that's great. I am pursuing some things in conservation biology right now, which is really exciting. But if this could be an option for us to sustain our family, then I would be happy. I'm not necessarily looking to make it a multi-million-dollar company or anything like that. Not to say that we are business minded enough to get to that point, but just operating a business with integrity and making it a family business and getting to the point where that can be a focus for us, really.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I think there's a certain something that gets lost when companies scale to a certain size, and it's not to say that that's a bad thing. It's just
Right.
the farther away you get from the product, there's just always just a little touch of something that's lost. So I always admire people going into business that understand that and focus heavily on the integrity of their product and maintaining contact with their clientele to some degree. Just still being in that really is a huge thing. So tell me a
Definitely.
little bit about your products and some of the new products that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. So Toganilla Snack Company, we started out really focused on granola products specifically. So our flagship product was what we call our Charlie Bar. We have a line of handmade granola bars. So they are oat based. Some of them include a vegan chocolate, so doesn't contain milk. And those were really great when we launched, just as like a hiking snack, outdoor adventures, sports, things like that, really geared towards active individuals that just want a grab and go product. And then there was a huge amount of demand for loose granola cereal type product. And so we launched that line secondary, and it's again, oat based. We use all organic rolled oats, whole rolled oats. So we try to use minimally processed ingredients. That's really important to us. And then we locally source a lot of our ingredients. Local honeys and maple syrups we use in small amounts for our sweeteners, and most of our granola products include, whole nuts and seeds, dried fruits, and we use dried fruit products that are infused with unsweetened apple juice versus some of the ones that you'll see in the store. If you pop into your local grocery store and take a look at the dried fruit packaging, you'll see that it's actually extremely high in sugar, and that's because they generally will infuse with just standard table sugar in order to retain that kind of that more moist and sweet texture. So we choose to use something that's just a little bit more conducive to a bit of a clean diet. So that's our granola cereal product. So that's kind of your classic, off the grocery store shelf. And then we also have what we call our protein bombs. So that's similar to a granola bar, but it has a flavored nut butter filling. Those are super, super popular right now. We launched those about 2 years ago, and we've been introducing new flavors since then. So we infuse the nut butters and the seed butters on the interior with things like maple syrup, for example, just to kind of give it that nice sweet kick. And those are great to just grab and go on the run. And I especially like to, after I go and do a trail run, I'll grab one of those and just get my kind of burst of protein afterwards. Mm-hmm. And then our newest line is our dehydrated backpacking meals. So I do a lot of backpacking. I do a lot of longer adventures in the backcountry, and I found that the standard dehydrated meal off the shelf, it just didn't agree with my stomach. And that was true for a lot of my hiking companions. And so I started taking vegetables out of the garden and kind of wholesome ingredients out of the shelves of my home and making my own dehydrated products on a small scale. And they were a huge hit, and it got to the point where we said, you know what, we're primarily a snack company, but I think it makes sense to expand into this realm, given my background in hiking and backpacking. And so when I received my grant a year ago, we were just releasing our first backpacking meal, and that was what we call our Thanksgiving dinner meal. That's been a huge hit, and we have 2 others that we're getting ready to release right now as well. So
fantastic. Did you ever figure out what the component was that was, upsetting stomachs and the, off the shelf ones that you were finding? Was it a process that you had to work something different out, or an ingredient to omit?
Yeah, a lot of it was the preservatives. So it seems like there's just an excess of preservatives that are used in those meals. They're designed to last just an exorbitant amount of time on the shelf. Ours have a shelf life of about a year, which is more than reasonable for what our customers use them for. And that way we can just omit those, what seems to be creating GI distress in terms of those preservatives. There are also some processes, things like using chlorine-based products to prepare some of the vegetables. That's very common in dehydrated meals. And there are alternate ways in order to make the meals compliant that we choose to use instead. For example, using heat to treat our vegetables to make sure that there's no pathogens that are going to grow versus like a chemical bath, which is pretty common practice.
Yeah. I wonder, are you using your platform to educate people as to what the reality is of health foods in your supermarket is? Because it sounds to me like, it's very difficult on a consumer level to really sift through what is actually healthy and what isn't. There's so many hidden sugars and so many preservatives, because I imagine if you eat a pretty clean diet, those extra preservatives will throw you into a shock.
Right. Yeah. Anytime there's something that you're not used to hitting your stomach, really, is not something you want to introduce when you're exerting yourself in the backcountry, which seems like kind of common knowledge, right? In terms of education, I love on a personal level to have those conversations. And that's part of the reason that we so value uh, selling our product in a farmer's market setting specifically. We do some, retail sales, but honestly, it's not our favorite. We love having that one-on-one communication with the customer, building relationships. We know, who their kids are and what adventure they just went on, and we can recommend a certain product. And, it's just great to have that face time in those conversations. In a more public setting, something I've considered many times over and may pursue in the future is getting some sort of certificate or degree in nutrition. It's something I have a huge interest in. I have a lot of anecdotal knowledge when it comes to my own adventures in the backcountry. So I'm always hesitant to put out any sort of like formal information in social media setting or a public setting like that, because I just don't have necessarily those specific degrees to, I guess in my mind, validate those conversations coming from me. But it's something that I study a lot on my personal time, and I've definitely considered kind of going down that path.
Wonderful. I have one more question. You kind of piqued a curiosity for me when you talked about knowing, your customers' children and everything. Would you recommend some of your things as, great grab and go snacks for parents on the go? Because it's extremely, and I can tell you from personal experience, it's extremely difficult for me to find easy grab and go healthy snacks for my little one.
Yeah, definitely. We seem to be a huge hit with the kids, and that's actually how we've gotten some of our customer base, where it's entire families that are buying products on a very standardized basis now. We actually have one family that buys granola in 5-gallon buckets from us because they just can't keep it stocked on shelves. And I think they have 5 or 6 children, and it's one of the only things that they can get them to eat that is, a whole food that's made in a way that they just feel comfortable feeding to their children. So especially the Carista bar in particular, if you have picky kids, that's one of our granola bars. They're all named after the springs in Saratoga. So Carista, if you're familiar with it, that one has dehydrated strawberries and is sweetened with honey. It has some cashews in there. So it's kind of our like strawberries and cream without the dairy twist a little bit. That seems to be a huge hit with the kids. They love the strawberries. And once you get them eating that, it's kind of hard to walk away without buying a few more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's just so wonderful. Instead of having, fruit snacks with all the dyes and sugar pushed down their throats constantly, something that's whole foods and well locally sourced is fantastic. And I'm grateful that we were able to touch on that a little bit, because I think we have a lot of people in our audience that have kids and probably are in the same boat that I am. Busy people, need to grab a snack, want it to, not be something that's going to be melty and gooey and drippy and full of sugar.
Right.
Well, that's amazing. I'm so glad to hear of all the wonderful progress, and I wish you all the luck in the future. And I will be sure to get down to the Troy market to see you. I know I ran into your husband at the Wilton market a couple of weeks ago when I was out there, so it was great to see him. And what are the logistics like getting in and out of that market?
It's not too bad. You come in the back door, and we have a cart set up. There was a time when we were, pretty new at these things where we were like hand carrying everything back and forth. And you learn these little tricks as you go through the years of, okay, if I pile things in this specific way, I can get it in one cart load and, that kind of stuff. So he's really got a lock on that. That's kind of his forte is, getting in and out of the markets and making sure that those run smoothly. So, and I know for vendors. So, if you have a small business, that's definitely a great place to go to kind of get your foot in the door with farmers markets. Some of them can be super competitive. So that's a good one to start out with and just get your feet wet.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'll have to check back in with you to see what the logistics are like in downtown Troy, because sometimes I can't even get in and out.
Right. Yeah. We are wondering how that's going to go. So it's just going to be one of those situations where we go and we figure it out and
give yourself a little extra time.
Right. Exactly.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. I'm so thrilled to hear about all of your wonderful progress, and looking forward to seeing you again this Saturday when we have an opportunity to announce our next annual grant winner.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so looking forward to it. Thank you so much for the support.
Oh, absolutely. We're happy to have you and bring you back, and hope that you can gain a little bit more traction just being around.
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much. You enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you this weekend.
Sounds good. Thank you.